The Royal Gorge is an awesome geological formation that has fascinated man since the beginning of time. With red granite walls towering over 1,000 feet above the Arkansas River, the length of the gorge is approximately 10 miles. Geology in motion is still taking place today. The Arkansas River started at the top of a plateau which was once a prehistoric lake. Working its way down for the past 3 million years, it is estimated that the river grinds down about a foot every 2,500 years.
The first visitors to the Royal Gorge region were Native Americans. As early as 1642, Spanish missionaries recorded traveling through the area. In 1806, the first American explorer to travel the Pikes Peak region, including the Royal Gorge, was Lieutenant Zebulon Pike. In fact, Pikes Peak was named for him. In 1820, Major Stephen Long explored the area, seeking the source of the Arkansas River. In 1848, John C. Fremont traveled through the area, seeking a route for a future railroad. The Royal Gorge Bridge is located in Fremont County, which is named after him.
Originally called the Grand Canyon of the Arkansas, the area was rapidly becoming a tourist site at the turn of the century. People would come to sit along the side of the granite walls and have a picnic. Royal Gorge Park consists of 5,000 acres surrounding the Royal Gorge. In 1906, it was deeded to Canyon City by an act of Congress that was signed by President Theodore Roosevelt.
In 1929, Lon C. Piper from Texas envisioned the world's highest suspension bridge, an attraction that would bring guests from around the country. With building permission from the City Council of Canyon City, Mr. Piper financed the bridge. Chief Engineer George Cole would make this spectacular feat of engineering come to life. Construction on the Royal Gorge Bridge began on June 5, 1929. Work crews began working on each side of the gorge, building towers with the newest technology available. Half-inch steel cables were lowered from both sides of the canyon. The ends were joined at the bottom of the gorge, and then the cables were pulled back up, completing the first strand across the gorge. In under 7 months, the Royal Gorge Bridge was built by a handy band of about 80 men with no serious injuries or fatalities. The opening day was December 8, 1929. Several thousand people attended this exciting event. Denver city officials and guests of honor, including the lieutenant governor, traveled to the ceremony on a special Denver and Rio Grande train for the occasion. Miss Fremont County then cut the ribbon and the large crowd of guests crossed the bridge. Immediately before the dedication, a wedding was performed in the middle of the bridge.
The bridge is 1,260 feet long, 18 feet wide, and can hold in excess of 2 million pounds. The deck of the bridge hangs 956 feet over the Arkansas River with 1,000 tons of steel in the floor of the bridge. 2,100 strands of number 9 galvanized wire make up each cable. The towers are 150 feet high, holding 2 cables weighing 300 tons. In the early 1980s, the bridge was refurbished and abutments strengthened. Additionally, special wind cables were added to help reduce the swaying of the bridge in high wind. Due to some corrosion of one of the main cable anchors, new anchors were installed by drilling 55 feet into the granite bedrock and sealing in a concrete system. Each wire had to be spliced into its anchor wire and properly tensioned. Nothing like this had ever been attempted before.
Since 1929, the bridge has entertained about 27 million visitors and added some world-class wonders, such as the Incline Railway. Completed in 1931, it was one of the world's steepest funiculars, traveling into the gorge diagonally 1,500 feet at a 45-degree angle. George Cole, the engineer on the bridge, designed the route in a natural gulch just west of the bridge. Both the bridge and the incline railway were listed in the National Registry of Historical Places in 1983. Another well-loved ride was the aerial tram. It was one of the world's longest single-span trams, traveling 2,200 feet across the Royal Gorge at 1,200 feet above the river. It opened for service in 1969 and could carry 35 passengers.
Over 20 rides, shows, and attractions like the popular trolley were added over the decades to the Royal Gorge Park, making it one of Colorado's iconic attractions.
On June 11, 2013, an unusually hot, dry wind day Tuesday, the park was about to face its biggest enemy. A wildfire that started 2 miles to the west roared to the bridge. Around midday, 1,200 visitors at the park and around 200 employees were safely evacuated. The fire jumped the Royal Gorge and marched towards Canyon City, the quarry, and the city water treatment plant. In its wake, over 3,200 acres of land were destroyed. This included the Royal Gorge Park, forests belonging to the Bureau of Land Management, and private land. No serious injuries or deaths were reported from the fire, and that included the firefighters. The park lost 48 of 52 buildings and attractions. It would never look the same. America's highest suspension bridge stood majestically above the rubble. Just 100 charred boards had to be replaced out of a total of over 1,200 planks. All that was left of the entrance to the park were the gates.
The visitor center and entrance to the aerial tram was built in 1968. Nothing left was recognizable. The fire was so intense that the cable for the aerial tram broke and fell down into the gorge, leaving the tram dangling precariously on the edge of the cliff. The carousel was donated by Lucille Murchison in 1993. The intense heat of the fire burned off the colorful coatings on the animals, leaving behind the smoke-stained fiberglass bodies. The water clock was constructed in 1986 and was a popular place to pose for photos. The incline equipment and cables were burned beyond repair, leaving the two incline cars stuck on the rails where they remain today. Cliff Terrace Restaurant opened in 1949 and was one of the oldest buildings in the park. Since 1986, the gazebo was used for weddings and entertainment. It burned down to the ground, leaving only the foundation and clumps of dirt from the hanging pots. The Mountain Man Camp, a more recent addition, had been the scene of many a Western shootout. The beloved trolley did not escape the fire. All that remained of the t-shirt shop were clothes hangers and the stone fireplace.
The wildlife park included Rocky Mountain elk, bighorn sheep, and white buffalo. All of the 60 animals survived in good shape with no serious injuries. In fact, a baby bull calf was born on the Saturday after the fire. We named him Smokey.
It takes about 100 years for the forest to rejuvenate, so we're giving it lots of help. The City of Canyon City, the Bureau of Land Management, and our company have seeded the area with wildflowers and 8 different native grasses. A helicopter dropped 28,000 pounds of seed over 800 acres. Then we hydroaxed the dead trees into mulch to protect the seeds. Clusters of burned trees were left standing to break up the landscape and provide some shelter for the wildlife. Over 1,300 acres on both the north and south side of the bridge were treated. In addition, about 400 volunteers planted over 5,000 pinyon pine trees. Chunks of wood from the hydroaxing were strategically placed to provide shade during the hottest times of the day. Fortunately, we had a rainy summer to help the little trees get started.
Removal and demolition began immediately after the fire, as soon as the park was safe to enter. What remained was a clean slate for the rebuilding of the park. Reconstruction at the park began with groundbreaking on January 31st, 2013. Construction started in the middle of an Arctic front that provided non-welcoming sub-zero temperatures and wind that had the ability to send a hard hat 30 feet into the air at a moment's notice. Despite the harsh conditions, construction on the new visitor center proceeded to pick up pace. Wooden bridge planks which had been burned in the fire were saved, milled, and mounted on the exterior of the new visitor center.
Rebuilding along the end of the gorge had its unique challenges. Space was tight along the granite ledges, forcing foundations, utilities, and pavements to fit together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Here we go, guys. Fire! Fire!
The granite under the parking lot had to be drilled and blasted to make way for a new utility trench. The park is like a small city with its own water and waste system. Water is pumped up from the Arkansas River, treated for use, and then recycled. To handle this need, a new water treatment facility was built. The sediment pond between the parking lots had to be completely retrenched. The existing dike was removed to install 120-foot culverts and then built back up again. The Silver Rock Railroad ride encircles this area.
The new gondola and zip line rides required big foundations to support the weight and tensions of the cables running across the gorge. More concrete was used for these foundations than in the entire slab of the visitor center. Once the foundations were in place, the new gondola tower and drive terminal were installed. A pilot cable was flown by helicopter over the gorge.
Just as the original bridge took 7 months to build, construction on the new visitor center was completed in 7 months after the groundbreaking. It opened to the public August 31st of 2014. The Royal Rush Sky Coaster, built in 2003, was untouched by the fire. It is the most awesome adrenaline rush in the state. Imagine a free fall tower sweeping you 50 miles per hour to hang momentarily 1,200 feet above the Arkansas River. The new gondolas replace the old aerial tram and glide 2,400 feet across the Royal Gorge. The ride offers exceptional 360-degree views of the gorge, the bridge, the park, and the stunning Sangre de Cristo Mountains while sitting comfortably inside. You can experience the Royal Gorge like never before on the new Zip Rider. Fly through the air more than 1,200 feet above the Arkansas River. This zip line offers a hands-off, no-sweat adventure with an adrenaline kick you'll never forget. State-of-the-art harnesses and braking systems leave you free to lie back and enjoy this one-of-a-kind ride. Come aboard on the Silver Rock Railroad, our scale model of Old 424, a locomotive dating back to 1893 and modeled after Southern Pacific's C.P. Huntington. It's a great way to start your day at the park. Another new addition to the park, the Children's Playland, features playground structures to excite the imagination, a brand new carousel, and a new water feature. Step back in time and explore the story of the Royal Gorge with original artifacts and photos in our historic display in the Plaza Theater. The Royal Gorge Bridge stands as one of Colorado's iconic attractions. The year 2014 marked new beginnings for the Royal Gorge Bridge and Park, with a brand new park built and nourished once again to stand the ages of time.